Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, where, oh, God, I'm old. Each and every Saturday, we do a show based on your past, the way you grew up, what you watched when you ran downstairs with a bowl of cereal in your pajamas, you laid on your stomach, and you watch, and I'll bring Jerome and Rose up in a bit, but I want to say this before I do. When you watch Johnny Quest, okay, you watch nothing else but Johnny Quest. Johnny Quest all the time, but of course there was Huckleberry Hound and Peter Potamus, Tennessee Tuxedo, along with my fantastic host Rosemary Rose and Jerome Connor. We are here to give you another batch of Saturday morning cartoons from our past, things that we remember. Hello, cartoon crew, Cheryl, Rena, good morning, Jennifer, and I got to give props out to Mike. I gave Mike a new assignment, which will probably be for all of us, with all of us. He put together all of the photos for Jerome's show this morning. I usually grab, pictures, photos for each one of our shows. Rose has been doing her own. So it really is nice to, Johnny Quest, that boy Brady. It's really nice to hand off the mantle because we have such a fantastic team. We can't have a team that doesn't work. So, we got them doing something. You're muted, Jerome. Rose, how are you this morning?
Hey, good morning. I'm doing really good. Thanks.
When is Rose's Reactions coming back?
We are supposed to come back next Saturday.
Oh, is it that soon?
On the 28th. But it might get pushed to the first week in February. I need to talk to my
I thought you weren't coming back until
I thought it wasn't until February also.
Yeah. Hey,
it might end up being February.
Aha.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Joe. I'll let you know.
Good morning, Joe. Joe, I gotta talk to you, but I'll wait. I may have to. I get 20% off. You get 20% of everything. Okay. I'm the $1.3 billion winner. I live in Maine. And Mike wants 20%. Okay. Mike, come and collect. All right. So, Saturday morning cartoons. Like I said, we got so many things in our life that we fall back on. Rose, question for you. What is it that what cartoon phrase do you regularly fall back on? And does anyone know what you're saying when you do that? And anyone in the cartoon crew, if you can come up with a phrase, cartoon crew, go ahead and post them now. Put them up so I can put them up. What do you say?
You know what? I'll go with Jinkies.
Jinkies. Oh, that's it. I couldn't. That's so gay. Anyway, so Jerome, what phrase do you come up with? Yeah, Joe. You're not my type, but you got man breath. Anyway, what do you come up with, Jerome?
Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh. Yeah, I say ruh-roh. I say Heavens the Megatroid.
Heavens the Murgatoy.
Yeah, I say, what do I say?
I'm smarter than the average bear.
Smarter than the average bear, yes. All that stuff kind of pops up in your head in conversation. You didn't plan it.
You're despicable.
You're despicable. all these things that we grew up with, all these terms, these words, these phrases. I don't, Brady, I don't want to, look, dude, keep your sexual bedroom life off our show, please. Okay. We don't want to know that. Great Googly Moogly. My great grandmother and my grandmother used to say this all the time. It's actually good Googly Moogly. Well, no, maybe it is Great Googly Moogly. Exit stage right. Yep, that is correct.
When I was younger, I was trying out Great Caesar's Ghost, but that didn't work for me.
Yeah, that's Superman. Ain't I a stinker? Yeah, who says that?
Tweety.
Is that Tweety or
Tweety?
How about that? Ain't I a stinger? What's up, Doc? Yep. That's probably the most common term I think people would probably say in their everyday life. What's up, Doc? Hey, Mary, how you doing? What's up, Doc?
I've been using lately, if I'm working with the IT guys, I go up to them and go, greetings, program. Okay. That's from Tron.
So, because I have a AI house that I live in, okay, I can literally have my TV, my 86-inch monster TV, turn on while I'm driving on the road. So it'll be on when I enter the house. But I came across a problem. I have Alexa boxes everywhere, whole 9 yards. I turn on lights without touching anything. I turn on TVs without anything that I want to turn on. I do that. But here's the problem. The Alexas, because I'm now in a house full of women, okay? It's like having children or multiple wives. I got separate wives in every room, okay? And they're getting on my freaking nerves because sometimes they will say something I hadn't asked them a question. Obviously, the TV's on, so the TV must have said something that Alexa picked up and gave me an answer. So the monster TV, I now call computer, getting back to names that we use often. So I say from the road or when I walk in the front door, computer, TV on, and it comes on. I don't have to worry about.
Are you going to get Majel's voice on your Alexa?
If they put it out, I will. But I don't have to argue with the other women in my home if I want my TV on, and they can't turn it off if they want my attention. I love it.
Okay. So what you're telling us is that you've created your own Star Trek version of Mud's Women.
There we go. Bravo, Rose. Bravo.
Yeah. Mud's Women, they come to me for drugs all the time. So yes, I have gotten them. Hey, Saturday morning cartoons, guys. Like I said, welcome to everybody that's watching, first timers. This week it's Jerome. Wait a minute, Brady Bunch. Where are you? How do you do this? What?
See, you'll point to the opposite direction. Just point to the opposite direction.
I've never ever gotten this.
Like I'm
right.
pointing. I can't get there. There's Mark.
I'm trying to poke you on top of the head here. Wait a minute. Am I looking at anybody?
There you go. No.
No. What, this way?
See, like I'll look like this, and I'll look like this. Hi, Rose.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Can you imagine the Brady Bunch literally getting directions from the director? Okay, Peter, I want you to look.
It's a mirror, Mark. Think of it like a mirror.
Well,
okay. If I want to point to the right, I actually point to the left. See?
Am I doing this right?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, watch. See, I point to Rose, and normally I would point to Rose. Where is it? Hang on a second here. I would go, towards that side, right? But because of the way it's I have to actually point like that to Mark because of the mirror and point that way to Rose.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, everybody run to the bathroom and go in their mirror, and I want you to practice that.
It's like stage direction. Exit stage left.
Well, yeah, somebody is okay, so today is Jerome's turn, and he has picked a topic, the Forgettable Super-Hero Shows, which should be very, very interesting. Of course, a lot of these characters and shows we have seen before, but it's Jerome's take on it. Doesn't matter if we're doing repeat characters. It's the individual take. I have 3 team members here, and they all have 3 different opinions. They all usually agree with me, but on many times when you do something stupid like bring up the Smurfs, is the only time where you're going to get disagreement from me. So Jerome, go ahead and take it away, brother. What's going? I didn't ask how your day was, Jerome. How was your week?
It was actually pretty good. Nothing major. We did get about 4 or 5 inches of snow up here yesterday and today.
Well, excuse me. What? What's that?
Snow. SNOW.
I don't know this word.
Hard rain.
Rose, do you know this word?
No, I don't know what that is.
Hard crystallized rain.
I know what you're talking about, but I mean, we don't. Okay. Anyway, Jerome is going to be talking about the Forgettable Super-Hero Shows, and honestly, there are none that I have forgotten.
Yeah, well, you're unique. The people on this show are unique.
Yeah,
okay, we remember all these shows. However, the general public has kind of forgotten a lot about these. You talk to any of these people, anybody today that's into cartoons, and a lot of them will have trouble remembering some of these.
Oh, sorry.
Wow, I know you didn't agree with me, Mark.
I hit the wrong button.
Dumped me on my own show.
I'll never do that again. Oh, damn it. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, there you go.
These are shows that people basically, especially with some of the superhero shows today, because of the heroes are all the rage today. The MCU, the DCEU, whatever they call that nowadays.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting numb.
Yeah, but
I really am.
But they're the big money makers of film and TV shows today. Those are the ones that are getting the eyeballs. Let's not kid ourselves. We're getting numb to them, but people still watch them.
Sorry, buddy. Let me ask you a question. Are you going to go see Ant-Man Quantumania?
I don't know yet.
That's my point. Right there.
I have to. I've already been. My son wants me to take him, so I'm going.
Well,
I'm not sure.
I'm really not excited about it at all.
I've not been a big fan of Ant-Man, and I've not been a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, okay. Well, 1 out of 2 ain't bad. So
well, in both cases, they tried to lighten them up. They tried to make them a little more humorous, whatever. And Ant-Man just seems so incompetent.
He's I'm not going to knock criminals becoming superheroes because we have had. Joe, name me one, please. We have had superheroes that have.
We're going to talk about one in the show.
We have criminals that have become superheroes. I guess
we're going to talk about one of those in this show.
And now I think about it, you're absolutely right.
But remember, the guy who plays Ant-Man is the same guy who brought you the remake of Green Hornet. That movie.
No. That was it wasn't him.
That was Seth Rogen, wasn't it?
Wasn't it Seth?
It was Rogen.
Rogen.
Yeah,
okay, my bad. My bad.
That's okay.
But it was still the same mentality.
Yeah, understood.
Okay,
right. Brother, all yours.
All right. But before Hollywood and the technology that we have today, the CGI and all that would allow live action and at least decent live action. If you want to see the horrors that I'm talking about, I recommend you go find the 70s version of Doc Strange or Captain America from the 80s and 70s or Spider-Man from that TV show era of the horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. There was Saturday morning cartoons. Saturday morning cartoons allowed superheroes to be superheroes. However, they were great. So let's not kid ourselves. Okay. I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said I wasn't feeling a lot of love towards it. There's a difference.
Gotcha.
There were greats in the cartoon. Damn. There was the Super Friends. There was Spider-Man from 1967. There were other ones. There was the animated Batman and Superman series of the 90s, which is the standard by which most superhero shows are set today. Okay. Agreed. But some other.
Oh,
he keeps doing this to me.
Sorry. There you go.
And others were not so great. Okay. And these are the ones that people basically either have never seen, they don't talk about them, or, when they do talk about it, they cringe. Okay. Now, this first one is a fun one. It's mindless. Go ahead and run the clip to it. And you can stop it at about around 2 minutes.
You got it.
Somewhere it's in there.
Yep, I found it.
Roger Ramjet and his eagles fighting for our freedom. Fly through wind and outer space, not to join them, but to beat them. Roger Ramjet, he's our man, hero of our nation. For his adventures, just be sure and stay tuned to this station. So come and join us, all you kids, for lots of fun and laughter. As Roger Ramjet and his men get all the crooks they're after. Roger Ramjet, he's our man, hero of our nation. For his adventures, just be sure and stay tuned to this station.
Today's exciting episode begins in Washington, D.C. General G.I. Brassbottom, Chief of the Army's Counter Bad Guy Division, calls Roger Ramjet on the hotline.
Ramjet, come to Washington immediately. Come in.
Roger Ramjet, internationally famous good guy, devil-may-care flying fool, and inventor of the Ramjet proton energy pill, which, when taken as directed by a physician, gives me the strength of 20 atom bombs for 20 seconds. Reporting, sir.
Ramjet, take a look at this map.
You mean this one?
Yes,
Okay,
Roger.
you can stop it here.
May I call you Roger?
Roger.
Splendid, Ramjet.
I'll let you talk.
Okay, so this show premiered about a year after Rocky and Bullwinkle. And yes, Gary Owens as voice of Roger. This was his first gig, by the way, for those who don't know. Okay. All right. So Roger Ramjet had a lot of political topics, much like Rocky and Bullwinkle, just not as good. Okay. It was they were 5-minute little clips. They were sold in they were on CBS, but they were sold mainly to syndication to go with the local live action shows like a Bozo the Clown or whatever. And they had villains such as Noodles Romanoff, head of NASTY, the National Association of Spies, Traitors, and Yahoos.
I like that.
Yeah. They had Jacqueline Hyde, who sounded like Zsa Zsa. Femme Fatale, you're going to love this one. Femme Fatale, Tequila Mockingbird, with her Bandino boyfriends, the Enchilada brothers, whose names were Beef and Chicken. Okay. Plus his own love interest, which was named Lotta Love.
Yeah, baby.
Okay. Now you talked about the proton energy pills and so on, and lots of Cold War jokes, lots of stuff about the government, and a lot of stuff about Vietnam, surprisingly, including one comment at the end of the show that the kids need to come back next week to watch, or he knows people who will get them drafted. Okay. Now, for some reason, this show disappeared over time. Now, funny thing is it had 5 seasons of 165 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah, I was surprised when I saw that too.
5 years of this wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. You had his assistants were hang on a second here. I got to remember what they were. It was basically a takeoff on Yankee Doodle, something like that. But
Yankee Doodle Dandy.
Yeah, something like that. And the girl was the only one who didn't fly one of the jets, but she was also kind of the smartest one of the group. Okay. And one of the things when I did the research was, why did this show disappear? Why did people not, watch it anymore? And people keep coming up with he takes these, this steroid or whatever to, and that's not popular nowadays. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me? People still love Underdog, and he takes, drugs to get his power. So that's not it. But I can't figure out why people did not like this. It is a mindless, fun superhero show. 5 minutes, doesn't require hardly any thinking whatsoever. He's the standard goofball superhero where the sidekicks have to get him out of the jam. Thoughts on it, guys?
Nope.
It looks to me, it reminds me a lot of Rocky and Bullwinkle as far as the art goes. And
it does.
Yeah, and style.
Yeah, they did this.
The narrator voice sounds very familiar, as if he was on Rocky after.
No, he's not. He's not one of them. He's really? Somebody else. Okay. But this was all done in California. Where he's from is an actual town. What happened was the creator of this show, who later worked on things like G.I. Joe and the Turtles and other stuff in the 80s and 90s, basically was joking with one of the executives that there ought to be a show with a hero named Roger. And it snowballed from there. And they had to do this so big on the quick that you'll notice that the backgrounds are almost non-existent.
Oh, yeah. It's got that brown blank.
Yeah. And I mean, they made these things in like a week or two. That's how fast they drew these and made these. Okay. There we go. David Ketchum. It's good to have Mike here. Okay. So the next one is a personal favorite. Ran on CBS for a season for 21 episodes. Go ahead and run this one. Number 2, please.
All right. I have to preface this first.
Yep.
This was one of my favorites.
Yep. One of mine too.
So incredibly unique.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And as the Raven shouts defiance, a call goes out to the mightiest heroes of them all. Poo-Poo Man, Tornado Man, Rope Man, and Diaper Man. Up and away.
The cuckoo.
Brilliant.
All right.
Brilliant.
So first aired as part of the Mighty Mouse Playhouse. Okay, it wasn't its own show. Now you'll notice that Diaper Man sounds like Popeye, like an old 30-something-year-old guy.
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, exactly. Strong Man is, your basic Gomer Pyle guy, and Rope Man is a nice Brit. Okay. Now, this was created by Ralph Bashki of Fritz the Cat fame. Okay. He was in the back of the room setting up the presentations for the Terry Toons group. And they were doing a pitch to Fred Silverman. Silverman did not want anything that Terry Toons was offering. And he sort of said, Mr. Silverman, I got an idea. And everybody turned and gave him the evil eye. So this was the last hurrah for Terry Toons. Bashki used this as a job to get a job at Paramount Animation, and the rest of his career is history. There's actually a book about the Mighty Heroes called Mighty Heroes Confidential.
Wow.
Yep. Bashki wrote it. They were later seen again in 1987 on an episode of The New Adventures of Mighty Mouse called Heroes and Zeros, where they're basically old men now and they're accountants. The account is man, 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 and man.
Love it.
Okay. And then they've never been heard from again, as in new shows, new nothing. And the Mighty Heroes were, they were great. There was a lot of fun. It was a 2-act show. They screwed up. They get tied up by Rope Man. And then basically Diaper Man is the leader of the group, and they come up with and stop the villains.
He does carry a weapon of mass destruction around.
Does indeed.
Yep. They should have used that in the show.
And he sucks on the bottle to get more strength. So again, another drug take care. And he'll take the nipple and hold it and swing it and hit you with it.
Yeah.
But again, another great hero that only true connoisseurs of cartoons know about this. I went to a cartoon convention and asked about the Mighty Heroes once, and I had blank faces all across.
You are absolutely correct.
Now, I'm not saying this isn't bad. It's just that it's forgettable. People have forgotten it. You know?
Sure.
I don't know why, because I really loved that show as a kid. I remember seeing that as a child.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. I just thought it was really weird to have a baby as a superhero, and I liked it.
Yeah. I thought
Herschel
it was
Bernard.
great. Yeah.
Herschel Bernard. You know who he is?
No.
He had his own live-action show that came on around about the time of Barney Miller.
Okay.
I forget the name of it, but he was an Italian whatever. But I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, we'll see you. Have fun at Central Florida Comic Con.
Best luck on your panel.
Yep. Good luck, guys.
So Mighty Heroes, really a show that should be remembered.
Yeah, real quick before we move on to your next one here, it's really interesting how cartoons that you remember as a child that follow you through adult life. I started this conversation with, what phrases from cartoons you guys remember. Yeah. When I was younger and watched Mighty Heroes, it was the opening, the intro, the music that hit me in my face. I'm like, wow, this is great. And then I really got into the show. But being, you guys know how much of a soundtrack freak I am.
I always
touched me.
To me, the only part that I always remember was, and a call goes out for the Mighty Heroes.
Sure. Yeah.
I couldn't remember some of the other stuff, but that one always stuck in my head.
Thank you, Mike. Our content provider here, one of our content provider here, is on the ball as usual. The show was Arnie, that Herschel Bernardi I recognize names a lot of times and can't put together shows and stuff like that. So thanks, Mike. Okay, brother.
Okay, the next one is one out of 5 segments of a show. Go ahead and run this one. This one is my favorite of the 5 segments.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Number 3.
Yep, I'm on it.
Okay.
Captain America throws his mighty shield. All those who chose to oppose his shield must yield. He's led to a fight and a duel is due. Then the red and the white and the blue will come through when Captain America throws his mighty shield.
Okay.
Okay, another theme song that I remember that people look at me with their head cocked to the side like a puppy.
Yeah, they look at me when I start humming that like I'm some guy on a beach with a metal detector, All right, so this was Captain America, part of the Marvel Superheroes. There was only 1 season, but 65 episodes. A lot of it was in syndication, but then ended up on Saturday morning cartoons as fillers. Quite literally, and I do mean literally, taken from the pages of Marvel Comics. What they did was take the comics, they scanned them or copied them and put them up on the screen. Very little motion if you actually watch the cartoon. The mouth looks like when people do talks, looks like they took a picture of somebody's mouth from like this.
Clutch Cargo was the first cartoon that initiated that concept.
Right.
Clutch Cargo.
Right. So we had Tony Stark's Iron Man, which is a really good version, not as much as I like with Captain America, but still a good one. We had Thor, Hulk, and Submariner.
Right.
Okay.
Watch them all. That's great.
They're great, but they're forgotten. Why? Because they were the 1960s cartoons, quite literally. I watched last night while finishing up the research on this. I watched the one that was Avengers number 4, where Captain America is discovered by the Avengers and joins. And quite literally, I had a reprint. I could go out, turn page by page and keep up. Okay. That's how close they did this. Now, the great theme music to this. There was a myth for a long time that Stan Lee wrote the music to this, the theme songs. He did not. And he freely admitted he did not. The theme music to all 5 of these were written in less than a week. He went to see Stan in New York, the guy who did it, whose name I can't remember. Stan loved it so much he said he wished he had written them. And that's high praise from Stan. Now Rose will love this. The guy who wrote Captain America and all the others also wrote the theme to General Hospital.
Ooh.
Really?
Well, wait a minute.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah. I was about to say,
and he did Days of Our Lives also.
I was about to say, well, that's a step backwards, but no, that's not true.
No, that's big. That's big money right there.
Yeah. Wow. Does General Hospital have a theme?
It does. It has theme music.
Yeah.
Oh, it had theme music. Because I don't know if it's still on the air. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
So there you go.
I think it's the only one on ABC left. I think it's still on.
All right.
Cool.
So the next one is from a DC Comics. Before, and then DC Comics bought it for when it was something else. This one had greats from the comic industry writing episodes. Mark Evner, Steve Gerber, Roy Thomas, and it had our friend Buzz Dixon writing episodes. Okay. So go ahead and run this clip number 4.
Stand by, guys. I got a lot of buttons to press.
Yep.
From under the pages of DC Comics comes the world's newest and greatest superhero, Plastic Man. He can spring, he can stretch, he can fly, he can bounce, he can change his shape. And he can even dance. Each week, Plastic Man will face the world's greatest collection of villains. There's action. There's comedy. There's danger. There's Penny. There's Bad Luck Hula. There's plenty for everybody on the Plastic Man Comedy Adventure Show.
Eat your heart out, 8 Man.
Okay, before we go any further, I do want to address Rick Jones's question.
Yeah, I was going to do that.
Go ahead, please do, Mark.
Rick, we are a documentary series here. We do not show full cartoons, mainly for copyright purposes. But what we do each and every Saturday is we revisit, not in full length. There's not enough time in the world to show every full cartoon of everything that we brought up with. So we are a documentary webcast. I hate the word podcast, by the way, but and welcome. Love the name Rick Jones, by the way, if people know where that came from. Go ahead, Jerome.
Yeah. Okay. So Plastic Man worked for a super secret organization, which his name is never mentioned. He's got the hot boss that he's got a thing for. Season 1 had bizarre live action Plastic Man stuff. I could not find it, but I read about it. They said it was highly strange. Okay. All right.
Unlike what it is now.
It might actually look good in now. All right. So his girlfriend Penny, in the second season, he succumbs to her charms and marries her and has a kid named Baby Plaz.
Oh, okay. Yes, I remember. Yeah.
All right. Then, which added more comedy. All right. Now, here's the thing. This is on ABC. This show ran for 5 seasons and had 112 episodes.
Another one. Come on.
I mean, this one, nobody to this day, except for us old folks, even knew that this one existed. And even us old folks don't even know about it.
Johnny Quest ran for 1. What the heck, man?
Okay. So this one also had some bizarre segments in it also called Mighty Man and Yuck. They had Fang Face and Fang Puss, which was his baby cousin, and Rickety Rocket. Now, I highly recommend you go find Rickety Rocket, simply because of how bizarre it is. Okay, but this show was weird. Plastic Man, right out of the cartoons, Plastic Man was a safecracker. Okay, fell into a vat of plastic. Okay. And decided to become a hero because the clothes he got was what he could find at a local circus's rubber man outfit. Okay, very strange character, but now he's a huge part of the DC Comics universe and part of the Justice League. They make reference to him in Justice League the animation. This character has been reformed in such a way that everybody knows about him now. But back in 1979, when he came in, only hardcore comic people knew who Plastic Man was. And I don't know how it continued for 5 seasons because today nobody even knows it exists. You even asked the hardcore comic people; they didn't know this show existed.
Yeah, in case you don't mention it, but this was the criminal element that I came up with in the beginning. In terms of superheroes.
So it strikes me as weird as to why this one is kind of, there's a lot of humor in it, but Plastic Man was kind of this crazy superhero to begin with, So, Rose, did you ever see Plastic Man?
I don't think so. I heard about it, but I don't think I ever saw it.
You okay?
She's like, I don't want to even admit I exist on this one.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I did see it mainly because it was a superhero, and I watched all superhero cartoons when I could.
Ditto. And the fact, I'll be honest, after the first and second season, I went, I'm done. I went on to something else.
Yeah.
Okay. Mike, you watched everything. I don't know how
you did it. Sometimes I don't put up his comments when they say, "Oh, I saw that one." It's like, yeah, okay, we know.
Okay, so Rose, what was the hot toy of the early 1980s that nobody could get right?
Oh, I think I know this one.
Well, I know you know this one.
Cabbage Patch Dolls?
Nope. It was a puzzle.
The Cabbage Patch?
Yeah.
A puzzle.
Oh, the Rubik's Cube.
Rubik's Cube. Mark, do me a favor and play clip number 5, please.
I never completed one in my life. Just saying. Okay. I'm human.
I've never been able to either.
I'm human.
On a mysterious night, Rubik's Cube appeared, bringing happiness. Rubik's Cube has changed everything in our lives. He's colorful.
Hello,
Okay. A Ruby and Spears production. Okay. Yeah, you can stop it at any point here.
That's disturbing to me. It's disturbing. I didn't even know about this. Oh my god.
Oh, you didn't? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, okay.
I think I saw one episode.
ABC in 1983 went for one season for 13 episodes. This was an attempt to cash in on the Rubik's Cube craze. Ron Palello, remember who that is? Exactly. Horseshack from Welcome Back, Carter did the Cube's voice.
Sorry, guys, I'm old.
Okay, well, he did the Cube's voice. He did it real slow, and then they sped it up to give it that sound. The theme song was sung by Menudo.
Oh my god!
And it only has power when the cube was completed. And if
that takes a while.
Yeah, and if you dropped him, and if you dropped him or whatever, it would scramble up. Okay, yeah. But when he was around, when he was solved, he would grant superpowers or solve problems or whatever, and it was really creepy, weird.
Yeah. Hello, Mary. Hello, Kevin.
It is too creepy for me. Oh my goodness.
And what's funny is just watching the opening, I remember as a kid going, yep, change that channel.
Yeah, I think Rose should be assigned to do a whole show on this show, Rubik's Cube. I think
Rubik's the Amazing Cube is its official title.
Yeah, don't forget Amazing, Rose, when you do that show. Okay, you got to make sure you do Amazing in here.
No, I'm sure Stella's probably brief on TV.
Yeah. Okay, I like to agree on this point about Joe. You outed yourself there, buddy boy. I think we all are guilty of watching things we shouldn't have when we were younger.
Yeah. So just by the opening alone, you can see why this one was forgettable.
Well, I'm glad. I had forgotten about this show.
Design. Oh.
Yeah, I had forgotten about this show until you brought it up.
See, that's my point. Even if someone such as yourself had forgotten about it, tells you that this one was really bad.
Yeah. Well, wow. He's got legs. Oh, that's
he knows how to use them.
He's really a blockhead. So, yeah. Okay.
All right. So, the next one was a syndication, but it was put on Saturday mornings in certain areas to up against the networks. So go ahead and run clip number 6.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
No, not this version.
All right. This was part of the Marvel Action Hour. It included
I was mistaken.
Including X-Men, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Incredible Hulk, Spider-Man Unlimited, Avengers, the United They Stand, and Biker Mice from Mars, which I don't know okay. A very 90s sensibility, retelling of the classics Fantastic Four stories. Okay. Went for 2 seasons for 26 episodes. Okay, so think about that for a second. Okay, hang on a second here. Okay, good. Sorry, work just sent me a note. I had to take a look at it real quick. Okay, so completely forgettable. If you watch that origin on the thing, that was basically what they did with the first Fantastic Four movie. Okay.
Right.
This one was I mean, I'd completely forgotten about this.
The song stuck in my head, so I couldn't forget it. You know, it's 80s pop kind of
90s actually.
Oh, 90s. I'm not bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
this
yes,
was 1994.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. That's my point. There were, and we all know from history, there were two versions of Fantastic Four before this. There was the 1960s one, which was a really good version, which was, again, right from the classics.
My favorite.
Right. The 1970s, which they didn't have the Human Torch, so they had Herbie.
Stupid robot. Oh, my God.
Right, exactly. Which, even though that was a horrible one, people still remember it because of the horrible robot.
Yeah, and people remember Scrappy Doo, too.
Yeah, well, I know that. That doesn't mean it's good, but it's memorable.
Good.
It just means it's memorable, okay?
Right.
And nobody remembers this one. Nobody talks about this one. In all the things that they talk about from the 90s with superheroes, they talk about the Superman and Batman animated. They talk about the X-Men.
Right.
That's it. They don't talk about any of the other
Fantastic
stuff.
Four. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So, Rose, did you ever watch this?
I want to ask you guys this. I want to ask you guys a question. Okay, about Fantastic Four. Okay. Here's my question: why this was a huge comic book series? How come it has never caught on? It just can't. It can't.
I can tell you the simple reason. I can tell you why it doesn't have the traction. Okay, first off, you have to have a really strong chemistry. This is a family. Okay, there's four of them. Okay, and they never get the chemistry right. They always want to put some sensibility, something in it where it doesn't have that family feel to it. Okay. You look at and they want to start changing things from what the basics of the Fantastic Four is. And there's an issue back in, hang on a second, bear with me on this, back in the 90s, where Reed says the reason he's keeping the Fantastic Four together in the Baxter Building and doing all this research is a way to make up for the mistake he made of making them all into what they are today, because it was his rocket that they went up to. And you never see that sort of regret with Reed. You never see that family dynamic in any of the movies. What you see is everybody trying to be individuals instead of trying to be together. You looked at the last version with, I think Michael B. Jordan was in it. It was horrible. Why? Because there was no group dynamic. The ones with the two they did before was close. And I got to say, I like those two, but they still didn't have that feel of working together and being a family.
Yeah. In all honesty, if I could add on that as well, I think they have and this has been consistent sometimes in Marvel movies, DC movies, superhero movies in general. They're not choosing the writers as fans or fans as the writers, I should say. Mm-hmm. You're choosing directors and writers who are being briefed by who knows who. Probably the kid down in the copy room. Well, actually, he would probably do a better job than some of the writers and directors, because there's your geek and there's your nerd. And he understands the comics, the originality of Fantastic Four, why the comics of the Fantastic Four have been so successful. But when you get to Hollywood, and I've always stressed this, it's like, oh, great, they're going to make a movie of so-and-so, they're going to screw it up. Luckily, movies like Iron Man and Captain America, which Iron Man, I went crazy. I still remember when I sat in the theater and saw the trailer for this Iron Man movie that was coming out. I lost it. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to do it right.
You look at the good movies and shows, okay? And Joe's absolutely right. The Incredibles was the best attempt at the Fantastic
One of my
Four
favorite superhero movies all time.
But what you see is like, and this started back in, and I know he's persona non grata now in Hollywood, but Bryan Singer was a fan of the X-Men. He had read the books as a kid and all that. And that first X-Men movie, it felt like that was coming off of the pages of the books. Yeah, the costumes changed, whatever. We had, but it felt like an X-Men story. Okay. Yeah. You look at all the other successful MCU ones, they're all done by people who know the comics.
Right.
Okay. And one of the things that they do is, if you don't know the comics, they hand you a stack.
Right.
Oh my God. Read this.
Read this. Exactly. And it's like, you know, you can't just get a stack. There are thousands of copies of comics of one specific character in any generation of that hero. There's no way you're going to get it unless you followed it from beginning to end.
Or you take a section, you know, like say with Captain America or whatever. Snyder never gets the DCU. That's why they had problems with it. The people who did Wonder Woman understood it. Same with Aquaman on the DC side. Okay. You look at the 90s, it was Dark Horse Comics who did things like Men in Black and some of those other stories. And those were all people who were handed the comics and said, read this, know the source material. You can make some changes, but this is what your source material is. And
you guys will probably never hear me bring this up again.
Yeah.
But I hated Namor in Wakanda Forever.
I haven't seen it yet. I
am not. Look, it's sometimes I understand inclusion, okay, but you really can't do it. Unfortunately, it was a massively white world when all this stuff was being written, and there was not within good taste to include people of color writing in the 50s, 60s, whatever, even in the 40s and the 30s, you know, but they felt that, oh, I think we ought to have, you're in a movie where it's all black people. We need another brown person. And it's like, oh, really?
You know, I would not have had a problem with Namor being Greek.
Greek?
Greek or Italian.
You don't have a problem? Well,
I mean, he's from Atlantis. Think about that for a minute.
Hold on. Atlantis being an alien culture that we are unaware of. I was not expecting what I saw on the screen. I only knew Namor as I saw him in the comics, and I would have been absolutely 100% cool with this dude coming out looking like Namor from the comics. Simple as that. But who the hell is this guy coming out of the water in Wakanda? And at least he could have wore some Italian-made bathing suits, you know. You're sitting there. I wore Speedos. I don't want to be a superhero wearing Speedos. Okay, so
we don't want to see you wearing a Speedo, Mark.
Well, it has been done. Okay, and I've had people judge me in contests on a beach in my Speedo. Thank you very much.
So Fantastic Four, as Joe said, they're Marvel's first family. They were actually put together as a response to the first Justice League.
Yes.
Okay, and they took off like hotcakes.
Yeah, I love the Fantastic Four. Still do.
And Tom Ward here says they didn't survive the extreme 90s. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you.
Actually,
they were even more popular in the 70s, Thomas.
Yes, Tom, excellent point. Excellent point. Those movies were all over the place. I agree wholeheartedly. Good job, man. Appreciate
now, you want to see weird? Go watch the Roger Corman version of Fantastic Four.
No.
They did a good job with Doc Doom in that one. But anyway,
that's true.
This 90s Fantastic Four, completely forgettable. I tried watching it on Disney Plus, couldn't get past the second episode.
Well, the thing looked like a piece of popcorn I usually eat when I'm sitting in the theater watching the movies. You know, it's like, oh, look at.
So, Rose, you never saw this one, huh?
No.
Okay. All right. As you can see, we have strong opinions about the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it gets personal after a while when you mess up our heroes that we grew up with. So
okay.
All right, dude.
Clip number 7. This was on CBS for one season for 13 episodes. Marv Wolfman, the great Marv Wolfman, who did Crisis on Infinite Earth series and the Titans, was one of the major writers on this one. Go ahead and run this one. Clip number 7, please.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Superman. Yes, Superman. Strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, who disguised as Clark Kent, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights the never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
Okay, so here we have is a 1988 version of Superman. Okay, this was the last animated Superman before the great 1990s Superman. Now, if you watch that opening again and listen to it, they've remastered the classic John Williams opening from the movies, and they did almost a word-for-word narration of the George Reeves show, the black and white TV show.
So that's Ted Knight, right?
Yes, yes. Now, you look at Lois. Lois has got that very 80s hair cut and woman's power suit. I couldn't tell. Did she have shoulder pads on that set? That
Yeah.
Okay. So hang on a second.
Hello, you got emergency?
No, I'm trying to see what's going. Hang on a second, guys.
Yeah, go ahead and drop out, Jerome. Drop out. All right, so while Jerome handles something, Thomas makes a good point on the Ruby Spears Superman criminally underrated. Rose, have you ever seen this version of Superman?
I have not, so I was like really surprised because it looks like a good show.
It actually is, and Thomas made a good point about it, that it is an underrated show here. Jerome, are you back? You good?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was Gwen. Basically, Gwen is outside playing in the snow and wants us all to come out and have a snowball fight or make snowmen with her, and she's being very obnoxious about it.
Okay, that's all right. Be a parent.
Yeah, I know.
So what were you saying about Ruby Spears Superman?
Stop it, Rose. Stop it now.
I ain't got no children. Oh, anyway.
Look, it was well done, but the problem was, if I remember right, when did Superman 4 come out? If anybody in the crew can tell me.
4? Was that Nuclear Man?
Yeah, that was the nuclear.
Was that a thing? Did that
was Nuclear Man? Yeah.
Yes. It was Superman wants to take over all the nukes in the.
I want to say it was probably 88, 89. That's a guesstimate. That's a guess.
Yeah, convenient that the cartoon was 1988 also.
It was 88. Okay.
I don't know, but the cartoon was 1988.
Michael, no.
Okay. Now the funny thing is because Marv Wolfman was doing this. Clearing absolutely, Joe, absolutely. But he was also inspired by the comics at the time, because you were starting to see the transition of Lex Luthor. Thank you, Mike. 1987 was the horrible Superman 4 Quest for Peace. In 88 was I saw that one. It's horrible. And then in 88 you had this comic. So I think the Quest for Peace sort of sunk this show because of the bad stuff. But here's the thing: is that Marv Wolfman started incorporating stuff from the comics. You saw the transition of Lex Luthor from mad scientist to corporate billionaire, evil, whatever. But the public wasn't ready for that transition on the television. Okay, Mike, I have to hurt
Don't
you.
respond.
Okay. So here you had a show that got lost in the transition from the 80s of G.I. Joe, Transformers, and He-Man into what was basically going on later on in the 90s with, the classics. So there was a transition happening, and this show kind of got lost in the middle. I know very few people other than people in our cartoon crew who have actually seen this show. I'll be honest, in 88, I'm trying to think. I don't remember watching this show, and I'm a Superman fan.
Well, I am a huge Superman fan. I don't miss anything Superman related. And due to the fact that Ruby Spears was all over the TVs during that time, I definitely wasn't. I was excited when I heard it. I actually remember. I was excited when they premiered this, the Friday night shows they used to have promoting the upcoming Saturday morning cartoons, and they featured this. And I just went nuts. I'm like, fantastic. But unfortunately, like Joe and Mike had basically mentioned, the Nuclear Man listen to me, movie of Superman just totally turned my gut, man.
Yeah.
And it just went all downhill from there, because wasn't Richard Pryor next?
No, Richard Pryor was 3.
Oh, good God in heaven. So yeah, they were at the bottom of the barrel by time. Well, no, Richard Pryor was bottom of the barrel, but Nuclear Man was like, okay.
No, I think Nuke Man was worse than Richard Pryor.
Yeah, really? Yeah, probably so. But yep. So yeah, I mean, it was a great show. It was, like Joe said, I agreed 100%. Even at my young age, I was big on writing. I didn't need the corniness, and a lot of writers in Hollywood or producing cartoons thought we were still children watching these shows. Well, my God, you're creating these shows. So are you writing it in baby talk?
The problem the problem was they did a lot of stuff from the comics to the shows because it was easier. They've already got the scripts, they've got the storyboards. If you look at a comic book is a script and a storyboard for a movie or TV show.
Sure it is. Okay. You got panels just like this.
Exactly. Right. Mm-hmm. So here we are. They're bringing some of the actual stories from the comics that Marv Wolfman wrote onto the screen. Now, this was Superman was very popular back then because they just done Man of Steel that John Burns did, which was redefine Superman, redefine all the characters around him. And I can see where they thought, okay, this is going to be a hit. Then the last two Superman films, the Chris Reeve Superman films happened, and it went downhill from there.
I got one last question.
Sure.
How do you keep the bugs out of your teeth?
You don't smile.
Got it. Thank you.
Either that or he's got really good kryptonite toothpaste.
Yeah, it's a kryptonite toothpaste. Okay. I got it.
So, Rose, what's your opinion? Mark and I have been yabbering on. What do you think?
Oh, well, while you were doing your snowman thing, I said I never got to see this show. It looks pretty good, though.
It does. And it's basically 2 15-minute episodes per regular show. And like somebody said, it was underrated. I think that it could have done better if they had given it a chance, but after one season and the low ratings with CBS, and I don't know what was up against it, I'd have to look at the history. It just died. Okay. Yeah. And so Ruby Spears,
they even tried to do the whole kidder look, it looks like, for Lois.
Yeah.
You know what? Going off script here, Jerome, I'm really angry that Cartoon Network isn't producing cartoons the way they started out, nor Boomerang. Boomerang started out with Johnny Quest and stuff of that nature. There is enough children streaming networks and other networks, Nickelodeon, the whole 9 yards, to satisfy children that were previously our age. But the fact that those networks, the ones that I mentioned, are not bringing back the shows that we saw when we were children, it justifies the fact that they don't care. Everybody wants to call cartoon. Oh, you watch cartoons? It's like, oh, for God's sake, give me a break. And I usually bring up Fritz the Cat when they mention that. It's like, yeah, I bet you do too. You know, so I'm just really pissed off.
All I have to do is say Pixar to them and go, you watch cartoons too.
We really need a classic Cartoon Network. We really do. We need a classic Cartoon Network.
Well,
we got Saturday morning cartoons that comes on Me TV here, and they're only showing 3 features: Popeye, Bugs Bunny, and Pink Panther shows during that whole 3-hour block. You know, but we really need a classic Cartoon Network. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you look at now. Okay, look at Disney and HBO Max own basically all the classics, and even Disney, right? Yeah, which is HBO Max, by the way. Okay.
Oh, it is. Yes, that's true. You're right. I forgot.
Or Discovery, whatever. But they're not even showing those classic ones. And when they say they're going to do new stuff, they don't do new stuff in that vein. They'll make changes to the art that's so dramatic and horrible. Look at what they did with Velma. The stories are horrible. Okay. I mean, the stories are absolutely wretched. You look at them and go,
to see it. I refuse to watch it. I refuse now. After what you said and all the other comments I've been reading, I'm not doing it.
And Kevin's right. That doesn't have the same
Don't
feel.
do it, Mark. You'll just get too enraged.
You look at the animation and it's all primitive. Yeah. There's no complexity to it. The stuff in the 60s, 70s.
There's no attempt to be artists. For God's sakes, you're drawing. You know, you don't mind just doodling and putting it on screen.
Yeah. And that's the problem I have with some of these. All right. Let's get back to this. I got 3 more to go, and then we're done here.
Cindy's got Girl Scouts. All you parents out there with your damn responsibilities, I hate you.
Oh, God, she's got the cookie pushers.
Yeah, go get the cookie pushers.
Yes. Young Justice is good. I'm
a massive Young Justice fan. Absolutely off the hook for me.
All right. So now this is the one that surprised a lot of people, and I guarantee you, Mike's going to say he's seen it. I know that.
No, I'm going to delete his comments from this point on. Okay, Okay, Mike, every time you said I've seen this or I have them on DVD, I'm deleting your comment. Stop it. Wait a minute.
But
cover this one, Jerome.
Yeah, I already know this. The problem that Joe's talking about is when Discovery took over Warner Brothers and all that others, they were in dire straits and they needed to come up with $3 billion worth of cuts. That's why the Batgirl movie was canceled, even though they were like days away from finishing it. That's why a number of shows were canceled. They were going to do the Green Lantern Corps. They got rid of that, and the new version is in limbo. They've gotten rid of a lot of the animation because animation's expensive versus live action. And,
you know what? It's interesting you said that. It shouldn't be, to be honest with you. With a lot of computer-generated imagery now, it seemed like it should have gotten easier. You know?
Right. But it's easy to cancel it because they'll look at this stuff and go, the kids aren't watching this stuff, and the kids aren't buying the stuff that we want. We want to do this stuff for the adults. What they don't realize is that the adults are now watching this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think if network TV went back to the old days, you might get an audience, but not a lot of people can afford streaming service prices to see what it is that's quality stuff there. You know, if you look at
here's an idea. They should sell these properties to people who care and let them do it. Let's sell DC to somebody who wants to do comic book stuff. You know, don't just take it and say, "Oh, we got this property, but we're not going to do anything with it."
Yes. Thus, my thought on the classic Cartoon Network, even if it's original content, as long as it's DC tried, okay, they tried to have their own network, and we see what happened to that. Everything's leaving now, and the Flash is next on the chopping block. But you need to have a network, you know, a streaming network, something we'll purchase. You don't have to worry about canceling it if it doesn't do well on network TV. I understand that you have to sell ads, but streaming services does not have ads. So if you're canceling,
they do now.
Some of them, you have your option of watching something.
Absolutely,
ads,
you are correct, my friend.
Or with the ads. So yeah, you do have that option if you don't want to watch commercials. I get it.
Okay, so we can talk about this later, but
thank you, Dad.
Yeah. The golden age of streaming is just about over. Okay, and I'll tell you why later. Okay, so clip number 8 is going to jar some of you awake. Okay, now let me just give you a little background. 1989. This was the only episode of this produced. So go ahead and run the clip.
Place to hide, no place to run, no place to run. The mutant age has now begun. X-Men, this is a day, X-Men, coming your way. Magneto's hordes are on the way to pillage, burn, and plunder. But there's one team that will not yield, the team that strikes like thunder. X-Men, this is the day, X-Men, coming your way.
Okay, this was a pilot show called X-Men Pride of the X-Men, and Pride is done as in Kitty Pryde. Okay, it was a pilot that, because it failed miserably, led to the now classic 1994 X-Men series. Okay, now this X-Men group consisted of Cyclops, Storm, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Kitty Pryde, and Dazzler, which has never been seen in the 1994 series. This was a 30-minute show, and one of the funny things about it was Wolverine has an Aussie accent. Think about that.
Yeah.
Then several years later, we get an Aussie Wolverine.
Right.
So what's interesting about this is in the 94 version, instead of having Kitty Pryde, we had Jubilee. Same general idea. All right. Well, I do have to say this. They were correct that the opening theme music was horrible compared to the 94 version, Joe. Okay. They were right on that. Okay. So this one was, the money for this was taken from the last episode of RoboCop, and they had some actual character development for a couple of the characters, but it basically had Magneto, White Witch, Juggernaut, and the traditional Evil Mutants Society as the villains. I'll be honest, I've never seen it up until I'd done the research on X-Men, the TV show from the 94 one. I had never even heard of this one. That tells you how forgettable it is. You go to Hardcore X-Men fan of comics, they'll talk about 94. They'll talk about the guest shows on like Spider-Man and Friends or whatever, but they don't talk about this. Thank you, Joe. Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Okay. Mark, you're muted.
Yeah, I know. I'm correcting myself. I said I've seen every superhero movie. I can't recall this.
See, there you go. Forgettable.
You said it was only one episode?
Yep, one episode, but it showed up in
why.
But it showed up in syndication as part of shows. And I read somewhere that they sometimes would throw this in when people were watching the 94 X-Men in syndication, because it did go into syndication. They would throw that into the mix every so often.
Yeah. Interesting. I really can't do a recall on this show.
Yeah. Rose, what were you going to say?
I said, yeah, I'd heard that it had been incorporated into that.
Yeah. I don't ever recall seeing this.
The 94.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerome, do you see Rose freezing up, or is that
every so often she does?
Okay, yeah, it's her internet. Okay. All right,
so again, without this one, quite literally, there would be no 94 X-Men. Okay, an advertisement in that. Okay, that's good to know, Tom. I did not know that.
The other interesting thing you said, Jerome, you said this was before the 94 X-Men?
Yeah, this was done September 1989 was when this was released. So it had to have been done in 87, 89.
Okay.
Was when they were manufacturing.
Then I have to give props to this, because if it wasn't shown, we wouldn't have had the 94 X-Men then, right?
Oh, I think you can see a lot of the art style from this is similar to the 94 one. Yeah. You look at it and it's almost identical art style, backgrounds, the character developments and all that.
Yeah, maybe they brought in the same team then to do 94.
I think they might have, but they definitely got better writers in 94 and better musician, people doing music and stuff.
So
but you look at that.
Are you saying that single episode was bad?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
It was considered a failure and immediately taken back to the drawing board.
I think Joe loved this one, so okay.
Yeah, but Joe's got weird tastes.
Look who's talking.
That's why I know. Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. It's America. You can have varying tastes.
Hey, listen, I love Joe because he's got weird tastes. Okay, he's just like me.
I don't like him
except
at all.
He's got artistic ability and I don't. Okay,
no, he doesn't. He sucks. Trust me on that.
Okay. So let's move back to 94 and go back to the Marvel Action Hour.
Oops, sorry. Go ahead.
The Marvel Action Hour. There was one more on this that was fairly popular, but it was also today forgotten completely thanks to the MCU. So go ahead and run clip number 9.
Clip number 9. What one?
Okay, completely forgotten by the world today is this Iron Man show. Like the FF, very 90s. Okay, season 1 did 2 seasons also. Season 1 was a bunch of original stories, which included a group of heroes called Forceworks, which was a 1990s comics that today most comic fans couldn't even tell you it existed. In the show, not in the comic, was Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Spider-Woman, a hero called Sentry, and War Machine.
Interesting.
Right.
Huh.
Season 1 was all original stories, individual standalones. They weren't part of an overriding arc. Season 2 was based on art and stories from the early 80s comics books of Iron Man, and they wrote out the ForceWorks group, but they had overriding themes about how these guys were betrayed and all that. I'll be honest, I'm a Hawkeye fan. I did not even see this show. Okay.
Where was it? What was this a network?
This was also the syndication, same people that did the Fantastic Four we talked about.
Okay.
And again, it would occasionally show up on Saturday mornings as filler, depending upon your market. This was a forgettable Iron Man. You know, nobody talks about this. There was Iron Man showed up in a couple of other places. We had the 1960s. He showed up in an episode of Spider-Man and His Friends. He was part in the 90s. They did a Hulk and he would show up in this same thing because of the Iron Man there. But and I know there was one other, but this one, you talk to anybody that's an Iron Man fan today, they can't remember this. Okay.
I can, but
vague, huh?
Was it on a syndicated? It had to be in syndication.
It was in syndication.
Yeah.
But but it would either be in like Saturday, like the afternoon shows, Sunday morning shows, or when they needed filler on Saturday mornings, depending upon the market, they would put it on Saturday. But then again, another forgettable superhero show.
Yeah.
Rose, have you seen this one?
No, I don't recall this at all.
Yeah. See, and Joe's right. It was pretty terrible. Okay.
Yeah.
The one thing they did get right was Mandarin. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Mandarin.
Yeah. Okay. Versus what they did in the DCU.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Now, again, this was interesting, but on a whole, I never watched it. And you can watch it on Disney Plus, and you go into a couple of episodes, and you're like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I will say this though, the movie saved Iron Man the character. Okay.
Yeah.
Iron Man was a founding member of the Avengers.
Yep.
If you go back and watch and read the original stuff, and there's plenty of reprints of his origin, Tony Stark was in Vietnam when he got injured and all of that. And what they did in the movie, a lot of fans didn't like it, but you could look at it and go, okay, I went from Vietnam to Afghanistan. Perfectly fine.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And you can see some of the influence of this on the Iron Man movies, like Iron Man 2 with the briefcase.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want one of those. I don't have to take my clothes off.
but that goes back to the 1960s where he did this also.
Yeah.
Again, kind of weak. The entire show is weak, know. So all right. Last one. CBS 1981. We're actually going to watch a clip instead of the opening. Okay.
That's okay. Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and run this clip. It went for 1 season and 13 episodes.
1 season, 13 episodes. Ooh, here we go. I hear Caracas.
You did.
Nice having a horse nearby.
Where to, compadre? The Presidio. But first, we must stop by the mission.
Okay. There you go. You stop it there.
Okay. Go ahead.
One of the first superheroes of all time, based off of a short story called The Curse of Capistrano, which you can find online somewhere, was part of the Tarzan, Lone Ranger, and Zorro Adventure Hour.
Yes.
Okay.
I was so excited when I saw that
Okay, so Zorro was hugely popular in the 1930s and 40s. Okay, the classic Tyrone Power, The Mark of Zorro.
Great movie. Great movie.
Yeah, oh yeah. Remade in the 1970s, which was with Frank Langella as Zorro, which was an interesting remake. But it had movie serials and everything else in the 30s, 40s. Hugely popular. Okay. Zorro was the inspiration for Batman. Okay. And if you pay attention to the origins, Zorro was the film they went to see the night that they died. Okay.
Really?
Yes. They had gone to see Zorro. Contrary to what the modern retake was at some opera, they actually went and saw Zorro, and Bruce was doing the.
I'm sorry, I was distracted. Who went to see Zorro?
Bruce and Martha and Thomas Wayne.
Oh, that was the movie. Got it. Okay.
Yes, they went to see Zorro. The remake of Deflator Mouse and all that was, for the modern version is nice, but they went and saw the Zorro. Okay. Bruce was dancing around, acting like Zorro when they went down the alley to take a shortcut, and that's led to Batman. Zorro was basically forgotten until the Antonio Banderas film.
Right, which was another great movie.
Which was a good movie. But they tried to bring him back in 1981 when the reason they did Tarzan, Lone Ranger, and Zorro was because those properties had entered public domain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So hence they could do whatever they want with them. Now they did do some of the some changes. Instead of a servant helping him, there was a kid who looked like a mini Zorro, just no cape. And they replaced the sergeant from the movies to match the sergeant from the story. There were action figures released from this one.
Yeah, and Zorro had a sidekick, which I never known Zorro to have a sidekick.
Zorro doesn't have a sidekick. That's the guy. He's a kid right there.
That's not a kid.
He's a kid in the story. Trust me.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. So
growing big in Mexico.
Right. So they had the kid, Zorro, the captain of the garrison, and the sergeant as the action figure. And there were two horses that both the kid and Zorro rode as the action figures. Like I said, highly, highly forgettable. Nobody talks about this anymore. Most people didn't even know it exists. Okay, that this show existed. I knew about Tarzan. I knew about the Lone Ranger. I'll be honest, and I'm a Zorro fan. I didn't know that this one existed.
Yeah, Tarzan, and that's what I was watching this carefully because I said I remember seeing this with another show, but the Tarzan and the Lone Ranger were rotoscope characters,
right?
And I didn't remember actually seeing Zorro as a rotoscope character unless it was in the opening intro. I don't remember.
Yeah, I didn't bother with the opening because I thought this was a much better clip.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was a great clip.
Yeah, I do remember this cartoon. I do remember this cartoon because we used to go around at school and do the Zorro.
Oh, that's really. I'm sure the flies in the air really loved you. You almost got me.
That's what
I said.
Yeah, but there you go. There are 10 shows right there that were highly been forgotten in one way or another, except for by hardcore fans. The general public can't even remember some of them. You ask them where, like I said, with Superman or Iron Man, and none of them will remember any of these. Now, fans like Joe and Mike and all the rest of the cartoon crew here will remember because we're all hardcore fans.
No, it's because we're old. There's
that too. But yeah, so you watch these and there she goes. So yeah, but like I said, people just don't remember these.
Well, I'm glad we don't remember this one.
Plastic Man was interesting. By the way, Plastic Man's buddy there in the flower show is named Hulu Hulu.
Say that again. Who? What?
His name was, I think it was Hulu Hulu.
Plastic Man?
Yeah, his buddy there in the flowered shirt.
Oh, he's Samoan, I guess.
Yeah, I
think it's a bit Hawaiian in the V Hulu Hulu.
Hawaiian, right.
Hang on, I'll look that up real quick.
Yeah. Well, you started us off with Roger Ramjet, and you ended us with Zorro. I think those are pretty. I don't want to use the word forgettable, but dishonored cartoons.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Hula hula.
Hula hula.
Yeah.
Hulu. Okay. Joe had a comment about your Avengers United.
Yes, it was part of that.
Oh, it was?
Of the Marvel action. You know, I didn't take on the Avengers United for the United They Stand for a couple of reasons. It was actually better than some of the other Avengers ones that came after it. It is remembered by Avengers fans more so than some of the other crap that came out. But I basically wanted to go with two that I knew that were absolutely wretched. You know, Joe and I can meet up in a dark alley and have a discussion about Avengers United. Yes, it was bad.
I'll be at the bar.
But yes, they were bad, Joe. I will admit it. But you know, I'm a huge Avengers fan, and I give a pass on a lot of the Avengers because it's a hard comic. Anytime you do a major team comic or team show, it's hard to do because it's hard to develop. You know, especially if you got like say more than four characters, it's hard to develop character development growth and everying with more than 4 characters.
You just don't get the screen time with multiple
exactly.
You know, so well, Jerome, that was great. You guys, if you don't recall what Jerome was here for this morning, this was of course the Forgettable Superhero Shows, which just like all of our other shows, we can revisit these with other subjects of the topic because there's just so many things that Johnny Quest, there's so many things that we on occasion can talk about and still revisit. I mean, you know, 3 or 4 Scooby-Doo shows and we're still not done yet. So it's just a prime example. We do have special guests that'll be returning to us. Joe said he had a concept that he was thinking of. But as usual, it was a great show, like Mike has said. And whose turn is it next week, by the way?
I think it's Rose's.
Okay, I got to write this down. I'm trying to find a great calendar for us so we can remember this. So, Rose, do you have any idea? Oh, by the way, whose show is it on Friday then?
Should be Jerome's. Yeah.
All right. So next week, guys, we have Classic Television Smackdown where we talk about live action shows that we grew up with, that we remember. Some we weren't even born yet, you know, but we watched the reruns. And of course, Rose, next week we'll be doing Saturday morning cartoon. Do you have a topic for that as of yet, Rose?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be doing cartoon occupations. So we'll see how that.
Wow. Great topic.
That's a good topic. I wish I had thought of that.
Great topic. Wow. Cartoon. I mean, I'm sorry. Is it cartoon occupations you said?
Yeah. Cartoon characters within their occupations. Yeah.
Wow.
That would be. Oh, that's going to be great. I got
things going through my head right now.
I can't wait for that one.
Yeah. Hey.
I get these ideas in the shower. What am I gonna do next?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things we all do in the shower, and that's always one of them. We think.
Right, yeah. That's when the mind can open. Yes, it's like I need an idea. Hot water.
Oh, I forgot to wash my feet. Oh, I got a great idea. You know.
footwear of cartoon characters, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, look, guys. All of you that's watching us, a lot of new people here today. Thomas, you got to come back to us every Saturday, man, if you can, because you have some great insight. And I'm going to put out an offer to you, Thomas, as well. Get together 10 cartoons that you enjoy. Send us a list. We'll arrange the clips unless you find them yourself and the photos and become a guest host on this show.
Yes, please.
I extend that welcome to Thomas. Joe, we welcome your return. Mary, you ought to think about being a guest host as well. Pull up your great. Mary, I see you doing shows like, don't do Smurfs, but doing shows like, you know, Huckleberry Hound and Yogi Bear. And, you know, I bet Jelly Bean would love to see your face here on screen as you're a co-host.
Hey, listen, folks, you can do impromptu ones because I'll tell you a little story here. Mark had first time had seen the Scooby Natural and was over the moon about it, which is those who don't know it, it's the Supernatural episode, the show animated. Supernatural, where they went into a Scooby-Doo episode. And
it was in fact, thank you for reminding me. The reason that I can't see a lot of, much like Rose, obviously, a lot of these shows that are mentioned here, whether you guys do it in the chat room or you do it, we talk about it live, we have almost no time in our lives. Our lives are so full. We're still trying to get Rose to see Wednesday as much as we want to see and hear her reaction on that, so we can pat our back, Jerome and I. She has no time. We have no time. I have no time. There's so many things that are out there right now I can't get to. Okay, I've tried.
So let me get back to this story real quick. Mark had watched Scooby Natural for the first time, and he was talking about it. And Cara, my wife, was biting at the chomp, trying to get comments in. She couldn't type them in fast enough because she was on the phone. And finally, I just said, "Here, you talk to these guys." And she took over my spot.
Oh, it was great.
Show.
It was absolutely great because we had an expert online with us here, and it was fantastic. So let's go ahead and make that suggestion for you guys that have never seen the Scooby Natural, which is the Scooby-Doo / Supernatural version of that show. You got to find it. You got to go watch it. It's tremendous.
And Wednesday, yes. Let's see here. Mary said she watched Wednesday. Mike enjoyed watching Wednesday. So yeah.
Yeah, you know what, Rose? Here's the threat. Okay. How's your week? This upcoming week, Rose.
It's always packed. It's always packed. It's always packed.
Okay. I know
Rose is looking sick. She needs to stay home a day.
Okay, look. That's okay. Here is. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I shouldn't. I'm about to put my big ass feet in my mouth.
Would you like some salt and pepper?
Feet in my mouth. The day, Rose, that you watch the first episode of Wednesday, by time that upcoming Saturday hits, so I would ask you to start it on a Monday. By the time we have a Saturday morning cartoon, or even I can even do it on a classic television SmackDown if that's in the schedule at that point. I will do the Wednesday dance live on air right here during the show.
Oh, are you going to wear the black dress too?
Well, I got to learn the damn dance first before I even worry about my wardrobe, Jerome. I will, if the day you tell me, you text me, you don't have to be live on the show, but you message me and say, Mark, I'm starting the first. Jerome, what episode was that?
The dance?
Number 4?
Yes.
Okay. So I know you, in a weekday, you're not going to watch 2 episodes on a weekday. I know that. So I got 4 days. I got 4 days after you start your first Wednesday episode, the upcoming show, whichever one it is, I will know this dance. And I will do it.
Okay, all right.
I will do it for you. It can't be
live.
live.
Some incentive.
Yes. I will learn the dance and I will do it. I'll record it because I know I'm gonna screw up. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, but I like what Mike says. You got to get the braids.
Don't tempt me.
I don't think he's gonna do the braids. Okay.
We can go out and buy a set of braids.
I'm sorry. Would you say, Rose? Would you say, Rose?
I said I don't think you're gonna do the braids. I don't think you're gonna do them. No
you don't think I look?
I think you would look fabulous in anything, Mark. But I don't think you're going to actually wear the braids.
Wow, man, she really wants me to do that dance. So you have to tell me when you start the first episode.
Okay, I'll message you on Facebook as when I do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there you go. That's gonna be my swan song, I think.
Hey, listen, I've seen you wear 1980s shorts.
Unfortunately. I'm sorry. I don't know. I deny it.
There's photographic evidence.
I have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about. But I will. I have no idea what you're talking about. Guys, look, Saturday morning cartoons are what we do with our fabulous crew, with Rose and Jerome, wonderful Cheryl, Mike was brought on, Cindy was brought on, past co-host Joe, Mark, and what's that?
Is that today, Rose?
What is?
What?
Look at her shirt.
Oh, no. I was way ahead of you on that. I saw it when she had it on and forgot to even mention it because we were busy. That's my team right there. That's my team. All my football doesn't start until 4:30 today, so I'm getting prepped up, getting my food and getting ready for it and all that kind of stuff. I'm loving today and tomorrow in terms of football.
I'll be happy with whoever wins, but my mom is the Chiefs fan, so I wear this in her honor.
Good for you to listen to your mother. Good for you. But look, guys, you guys have been great. We always have fun when we do these shows. It makes you want to go on YouTube and pull out an episode and watch it of things that we discussed.
You can see a huge number of the Roger Ramjets and Mighty Heroes on YouTube.
I think I will watch at least Roger Ramjet because of the humor it had, like Bullwinkle and Rocky, and it's like, that's some pretty adult humor that I'm listening to.
Here's the problem with watching like Bullwinkle and Roger Ramjet right now is you have to know the politics of the 1960s.
Yes.
If you don't know that history, and we're talking almost 60-year-old history.
Yeah, because I've heard Goldwater being mentioned in an episode, even in Sherman and his boy or whatever. And yes, you're right. You got to know the Cold War politics back in that.
You also have to know entertainment.
What if you want to learn more? You can learn more by watching. You don't know what it is. You say, hey, maybe I can look up who Barry Goldwater.
Yeah, what are they talking about? What is this entertainer? This name that they're talking about? And I'll go.
I do that all the time. I do that all the time.
It is light fare. So it brings a bit of humor to it as well, so you don't have to be massively depressed about the 60s. But it makes you want to learn a little bit more about it if you're laughing in the beginning.
Yeah. The Cold War was full of humor.
Oh my God. It was laughable. Mike, see you later, buddy. Good job. We'll give you your next task.
Mike, bye.
You may not have to do photos next week because I think Rose does her own, if I'm not mistaken. So good job on that. Mary, thank you so much for Sweetheart. We love it when you are on, and granted, your husband came on today. I love that, and love it when I know Jelly Bean is watching as well. So Rose is doing cartoon occupations for next week. Jerome, we have no idea what you are doing for. What's that look for? What you guys are doing for Friday night? If you look at Jerome's face, this is going to be interesting. So Classic Television SmackDown is Friday. We got 2 shows for next week. So other than that, thank you guys for being on board. We're going to go ahead and sign out. So this was great. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.